All right, family, this is Reginald Kuakaru, and we are here today with Judy Smith Randle, and she is one of the bright lights in our community. And I wanted to talk to her today to have her share her story and just have you get to know her and know who she is, okay? She's also going to be running one of the circles or one of the groups in our community as a yoga teacher and instructor. So Judy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, you all, I'm Judy Randle, and I am a fitness fanatic. All things fitness I want to know about, particularly how exercise affects us mentally and emotionally and energetically and all those kinds of things, because I've always known for a long time, since I was about 12, that this body that we live in, it's connected to everything, but I just didn't really know how, it was connected to everything. And exercise is not something that ran big in my family. So I was the oddball in the family, outside of my brothers. I was the one who was in the basement doing push-ups when I was 12.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So right now I know you're doing yoga, instructing in yoga. How does that work? How do you get involved with that?
Okay, well, it's yoga's become a big old buzzword now, but just know that the practice of yoga is about 8,000 years old or so. And the practice of yoga has its roots in Africa or ancient Kemet. I wasn't aware of that until about 15 years ago myself. And the word yoga means, it's a Sanskrit term that means to yoke or bring together. The same way you would see a mule that's yoked to a plow. That's exactly what it means. Okay. And
now what is it bringing together? What is it yoking together?
Yeah, you unite the physical body and the mind via the breath. Okay. And what I learned in yoga, and is true, is that the breath, the body, and the mind are just different vibrations of the same thing, sort of like ice, water, and steam are different vibrations of moisture. All right. So in my exercise things, that fascinated me, and I wanted to know how do we do that? How exactly do we do that?
Okay. And how long have you been doing yoga instructing?
I have been teaching yoga exclusively, probably maybe for the last 15 years, group exercise for about 32 years. All right.
Okay.
But the practice of yoga, came to me. I was sort of baptized by fire. I was thrown into a class and said, hey, just teach it a stretch. All right. And I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. So my focus right now is mostly on yoga and strength training.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So now, Judy, I know you came to KCL because you were interested in the ideas and stuff that I was teaching here. What was it that drew you to KCL? How did you even get connected?
Okay. All right. True story. I was attempting to clean up my dining room. I had stuff all everywhere, things like that, right? And I was just putting on some YouTube videos, and quite honestly, I was looking for something else, all right? And your videos came up in my feed, and I saw the word Kemetic, and I went, oh, I wonder what this is. And I clicked on the video, all right? And then I binged watched for the next 4 hours, all right? I got some cleaning up in the dining room done. Not that much. Okay. All right. And I binge watched for 4 hours, and that had to be maybe September, August of 2021. I don't exactly remember. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is what I've been looking for. All right. So my familiarity with Kemet and Kemeticism, things like that, I've actually known about Kemet and the land of the Black for a long, long time. But you seem to be the only one who'd actually done the studying and put the things together, how the energetic moves to the physical and how the physical moves to the energetic in 1, 2, 3 step terms. I'd heard the terms before, done some reading about it, had some DVDs, had some books, but it kind of seemed like all those sources were sort of all over the place. All right. You had a coherent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's what resonated with me. That's how I like to do the exercise. And it resonated with, I was like, oh, so the alarms went off, and that was it. I binge watched some more the next day too. So
Gotcha,
that's
gotcha.
how I came to
No,
KCL.
well, I appreciate hearing that. But yeah, that's Judy. That's one of the same things that I had when I first came across this. It was just like, something about it was it just drew me in. Because I studied metaphysics for a long time. So for years I was studying metaphysics apart from any other kind. So it was just more like spiritual stuff, metaphysical stuff. But a lot of it was connected to the secret. But it was like the secret. There just seemed like there was something missing,
Right.
and yeah, and it was
Right.
like I remember part of the video where they alluded to the Greeks had gotten the information of the secret, that it was like that ancient. Well, I knew that the Greeks were like learned from the Egyptians, the Africans. So I was like,
Right. Right.
so that always kind of stuck a bug in my head and wondering like, okay, well, where did this stuff come from? So, but there was nobody that I knew of at that time that really could tell us anything about Kemet, the spiritual system. Now, the historical stuff, people all over the place with that. They could tell you the dates and dead people, all that stuff. But when it came to the spiritual system and what those people were about spiritually, there was very little. And then when I started to learn and break it down, man, it was just like, wow, all this stuff, it started to make sense. So it ended up telling me about Christianity, ended up telling me about the law of attraction, energy work, all that kind of stuff. These ancient Africans were already practicing it.
Yes. Teach. It's the same thing here without going into it too much. I watched The Secret, no joke. I watched The Secret 10 times.
Hey family, this is Reginald Kuakaru. I wanted to stop for a minute and tell you about our new community at Kemetic-Centered Living. At KCL, we help you get over the negative Christian programming so that you can live life boldly, authentically, unapologetically, and on your terms without guilt or shame. We're going to help you do this through our classes, courses, peer support, our daily challenges that help you practice the principles so that you can live the highest vision of yourself. At KCL, it's going to be more than just knowledge and information. It's going to be gaining practical application to help you with your personal growth and transformation. VIP spots are going to be limited in the beginning in the new community. But you can get on the Earlybird waitlist and get notified ahead of the general public when registration opens so you can be guaranteed to get your spot. Go to jointhekclfamily.com, get on the Earlybird waitlist, and then you can get notified before registration opens to the general public. All right, so back to the interview.
And again, like I say, I've heard this information before, but there was no framework, no shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3 to put it on. I just thought that doesn't sound right. Something is off about this. Okay. And I come from a tradition where when you teach, you mention your teachers' names, and none of that was going on. And it didn't set well with me. It just didn't set well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is just ignorance. Most people, when they think about anything about civilization, they start with Greece. And in our westernized world, but Greece got the ideas from somewhere else. I mean, even the first federation was in ancient Kemet. The federation and the system of government that we have now, or states are connected by a national government. That's something that they actually did in Kemet as well. But most people will tie that back to Greece, but that kind of goes off on a tangent. But it is what it is. We study what we study now because it is mainly, for me, it's not just about information, it's about transformation. So and I guess that takes us as far as your journey, because a lot of people that really are drawn to what I do. It answers a lot of questions that they had from Christianity, And what about you? Were you Christian growing up, and you were? So
Yes,
What was
yes.
it like, and how was your journey through that
Well,
ended up connecting you to this information and
yeah,
knowledge?
yes, indeed. Okay, without covering all the decades of my life, I actually started on this journey at 12. All right, when I went to Catholic grammar school, went to Catholic high school. It started with went into a church, looked at all the statues, okay, and literally this is what I said. I said, well, I keep hearing that God doesn't have a color. And I'm looking and all the statues are white. And so there was a priest there who I knew. And I remember asking him, okay, and this is when I was 12 or 13. I remember asking him, I said, well, if God doesn't have a color, how come all the statues are white? Because I was always taught to ask questions in my household.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say a word. He turned around and he walked away from me. That's what
Mm-hmm.
got me started right then and there. I started asking questions about Catholicism and Catholic. Now, wait a minute, something is going on. I don't get it. Remember, I'm only 12. I don't get it. So I rode my bike right back home and started asking a lot of questions, most of which my folks could not answer. All right. And that started right to this day, asking questions and reading books and connecting and just knowing some things. Some things didn't make sense to me, even though I was taught you should do this and do this and do this, that box. But when I started to ask questions, they didn't connect. All right. There
Right.
was no
Right.
connection there. And it kind of, even at that young age, it didn't make sense for me. Like, okay, like for instance, like,
Gotcha.
yeah, you got God created
Yeah.
everything. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, go
Well,
ahead. Go ahead.
if God created everything, then why is it a bad thing for me to do that over there? Okay, but how come I can't do it over there? If God created it, if I can see it, then I'm supposed to have some of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was my connection. This is 12, 13, 14, 15. Well, how come those folks over there, they just are no good, okay, but they're getting all their stuff? They're not a nice person, okay? I'm a nice person. Why am I not getting my stuff? Okay, or
Mm-hmm.
why is it if God created everything, then how could God be jealous? God created everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
was asking questions.
Right.
Imagine the chaos that caused in my household. Okay. All right. But the issue is that I never really got much pushback. I just got looked at real funny and people would turn around and walk away.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
So just in aspects of your life, did you as you were growing up, did you try to practice Christianity, or how did that work?
Well, okay. I attempted to do that. And for a lot of times I just did it because everybody else around me was doing it. All right. And I wasn't really interested in pushing against it. But when I got to be about 16, I just kind of really couldn't take it anymore because I kept asking all these questions that nobody had the answers to. Okay. Or I wasn't supposed to ask a question. All right. And I thought, well, wait a minute. If God gave me a brain and I'm supposed to ask questions, and that's the only way to know stuff, how come I can't ask questions about God? All right. So I was always given that, well, God doesn't want you to know. And again, juxtaposing that with what I was taught, I'm supposed to ask questions about everything except this. It
Mm-hmm.
just didn't make sense to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember declaring at 16, I told my mother, I said, I'm not going to church anymore. Something is wrong. Somebody's telling a story because we couldn't say lie in my
Really?
household. All right. Yeah, I said, I'm not going. I'm just not going. It doesn't make any sense. And here's the interesting thing. I got no pushback from my mother. My father kind of really didn't care. He would just laugh about it, right? But she looked at me really funny, like this. All right. And I remember calling my grandmother because I would go to her church a lot too. And I said, Mama Junior, I said, somebody's telling the story. I don't know what's going on. Aren't you supposed to know about this? And I had all these questions, all these questions, all these questions. All right. That no
Mm-hmm.
one could answer. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So think about what that caused over the years. And what that caused is, I got ostracized a lot in my family. It wasn't necessarily verbal. It was, they forget to call me for family gatherings, or I wasn't invited to somebody. I mean, it got like that. It really got
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I got the silent treatment a lot from my family.
Okay.
It wasn't nice. It wasn't.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, and I know, for a lot of people, that's, I was around the same age, around 15, 16, when I started asking my questions, and same thing, just people, the people in the know they didn't know. So, at least the ones who I thought were in the know, or their answers just weren't satisfactory to me. And so I started, when I began to ask a lot of questions, it was just like, I remember asking one person that was very close to me. I said, I know that like Jews don't believe in Jesus as the savior, I said, if a Jewish person was a good person and they don't believe in Jesus, but then there's could be somebody that's like a mass murderer, and then they could say they believe in Jesus, and ask for forgiveness on their deathbed. I said, you're telling me that the Jewish person will go to hell and the person that was a mass murderer would go to heaven? And they looked at me and goes, well, yeah. And I was like, well, that just doesn't seem right to me. So it didn't compute, because it was like 3/4 of the world didn't believe in Jesus. So you're telling me that 3/4 of the world is going to go to hell because they didn't believe? That was how it was, running around in my young mind. Now people come up with all kinds of, massaging and ruminations about that now. I mean, just and it still ends up bumping up against it, all kinds of contradictions. But in my mind, a good person could go to hell and a bad person could go to heaven. Just something just didn't seem right to me about that.
Right.
So I but I kept searching, just over the years, still kept searching.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
So when we're talking about you coming to Kemetic-Centered Living, what finally made you like take the leap to where you wanted to come to Kemetic Center, come to taking the classes and stuff like that?
Okay, all right. That because I didn't come like right away, but when I say I binge watched, I binge watched a bunch of your hour-long videos. Oh, I don't know, probably for like another 2 months, something like that. And it was just ringing through. I'm like, this makes sense. That makes sense. That's why that is. This makes sense to me. Okay. And I started comparing it with other information I'd gotten years ago about Kemetic science and Kemetic philosophy and stuff like that. And I thought, nah, maybe not so much that. I mean, there are pieces of it there that resonate, but it doesn't seem to be like woven into a blanket, something that I could use in everyday life. I mean, I could use bits and pieces, but it didn't seem to have practical application in the rest of my life. All right, because I was raised by my parents, and my grandfather, mother was real influential in my life. And she said, if you can't use it out there, she said, why are you wasting your brain cells on that if you can't use it out there in real life? And the thing that drew me to KCL, Kemetic-Centered Living, and African Mind Rewire, is that everything that you were saying was hitting on all cylinders. It's like the answers to questions I'd had for the last 30, 40 years. Oh, that's why that happened. That's why that happened. This is why that happened. Okay. And because I love all things physical, the human body. I'm sort of like a nerdy scientist. I want to know, how does the blood get there? What does it do? What does it do once it gets there? This was resonating. Oh, that's what happens when it gets over there. And this is what happens when it gets over there. And if there's nothing in the metaphysical, it can't show up here on the planet. I was like, oh, wow. This is making sense to me, because spirit and science to me go together. And there's something that exactly, right. And I remember studying something from the Catholic Church where there's a separation of church and state. I said, now I get why the separation is. Okay. And so I started looking up the information that I had. Well, the current Catholic Church has to separate science and spirit so that we know they aren't the same thing. They are one in the same thing. So I've had an opportunity to look at things under a microscope and stuff like that, like a brain cell. Let me take that. A habit is actually a neural pathway in the brain. That's what it is. Okay. All right. And I know that each and every cell has an intelligence. I knew that. I knew that. Now I know that. I know that. So this was right in line with everything I've been living, because originally I went to school for business, came out of school, worked in retail for 4 years. I went, I ain't doing that. No, I'm not going to do that. All right. Turned right back around, went and got some certifications because I've been teaching group fitness for most of my life, and this synced right up with how the body works, the intelligence
Yeah.
of the body. I always knew it, I just didn't know how and what it looked like, and this just connected everything for me. So it's like 10 light bulbs went on. 10 went
Yeah.
on at one time. All right, and then I
No,
decided,
and that's what it was for me. So when I put this content together, it was definitely I'm like your grandmother was saying. I if it doesn't make sense, why are you doing it? Why are you even studying it? And a lot of the stuff with, especially with religion, there just seemed to be a disconnect in so many areas, and it just, a lot of it just didn't make sense. Well, when I stumbled onto the Kemetic stuff, and I really started to get deep into it, I started to connect the dots with the ideas metaphysically, and that's really what drew me in first, was the idea that there were scriptures that are concepts that I knew, like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That was pretty much part of, all spiritual systems that I could tell when I was, I would study stuff comparatively. Well, I knew if all of those were a part of the same spiritual, or all spiritual systems, there had to be a foundation where that was, But then once I started getting into the metaphysics of it, I started to recognize that that wasn't just a physical expression of an idea. It was a metaphysical expression about how energy works.
yes,
You know,
yes, yeah,
so what you, and one of the Kemetic principles is what you put out is what you get back. That's what way we were taught about it. But as above, so below, as within,
yes,
so without.
yes,
And
yes,
so that was how the principle was stated back then.
yes.
But I started to connect the idea that, okay, what you put out is what you get back. A measure given is a measure, or one of the scriptures. So all of that stuff just ended up starting to really, I guess, coagulate, and then I started looking for people who was teaching it. The connecting these dots. Couldn't find them. And
Nope.
it was so frustrating. And I would get to somebody who was saying that they were teaching something Kemetic, but then all they were doing was teaching something historical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but and they were saying that they were teaching Kemetic spirituality. And I'm like, what do I do with that? I mean, I love history. I do. But I'm like, but you're saying this is spirituality. Where's the spiritual part? Oh, well, the ancestors did this and they did that. Okay, fine. But what was it?
Yes. Yes.
So that's the kind of stuff that I was running into, and it frustrated me. Well, I figured out that, man, I could really do a service by really helping people understand what the spiritual context of this was. And not only that, but how does it work in your life?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you on that, Teach. It's because those principles that we talk about in KCL, with the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, like it can't happen out there until it happens in here, until you see the picture, until you feel it. The law of duality, the front of your hand and the back of the hand. Sometimes in yoga class, I'll say, I dare you, try and do something with just the palm of your hand. Let's see it. Okay, you require.
Try to clap with one hand.
There you, there you go. And
yeah.
If I'm going to jump the gun a little bit, one of the principles in Kemetic-Centered Living that has served me really well, actually there's several, but I'll state one first, that our oppositions and our challenges, I guess problems, for lack of a better word, were never meant to punish us. They were meant to kick us out of our mental laziness, for lack of a better word, into our next greatest adventure. Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
The way that I heard that is like, well, whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And I thought, no, it'll just give you high blood pressure. Okay. That didn't make sense to me. But when I learned this in KCL, I said, now, wait a minute. Now that makes a bunch of sense to me. Okay. Because I think it goes back to that scripture, when one door opens, another door. When door closes, another door opens. Okay. All right. And so it's, oh, no, that's not the way. There's another way. Okay. So that one of the principles that serve me well is that law of duality, that every one thing is two. Okay. And if one exists, the other one has to exist too. Right. Just which one are you focused on? All right. So both of those things exist. And what I'm coming to the conclusion is that in traditional Catholicism or Christianity, they only keep you focused on the fire and the brimstone and the woe and the catastrophizing. And if you don't, this is going to happen. And if you don't, this is going to happen. And if you got to do that, that box again,
with the fear.
There it is. The fear. We got to be afraid of everything. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, it just didn't, it just made me feel anxious and afraid of everything. And I know that a lot of people, particularly Black people, we wake up with fears of everything. And oh, I hope this is going to work out right. Well, if this doesn't, and we tend to focus on the thing that we don't want. Okay. The thing that we don't want. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where it's really hard to get a lot of people to understand, because I always get like arguments in the comments, this is happening, I know, and it's like, I'm a 60-year-old man. I've dealt with racism. I've dealt with all of what, I've been in that system, the system of white supremacy and racism. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I am saying that if we want to get something different, then we have to focus on something different. And that's just the law of duality. The bad part, the negative, is always going to be present.
Right.
But the positive is too.
Right.
Which one are we going to focus on?
I absolutely agree with that. I agree with that. There's something that you said. Something that you said in one of the modules. I think either read or you said it in one of the modules. Here's how I interpreted it. Since we are souls with bodies having a human experience, okay, we have a right to feel all of those human emotions. Okay.
Yes.
Just how long are you going to stay there, and is it serving you? Okay. So this is how I interpreted that. You have a right to feel anger, frustration, resignation, all of those things, because you came here to have a human experience. Okay. Your soul came to have a human experience. Now, next question, how long are you going to stay there? 2, is it serving you to stay there for more than like, I don't know, an hour? Okay. All right. So that's how I chose to look at it. And that's been one of my lifelines, for lack of a better word. Okay. I have the ability to control my emotions. If I'll just do it, okay? If I'll just practice it, if I'll just say to myself, literally, okay, I'm frustrated about this. How long do I want to stay on this? Okay, 60 seconds. That's enough now, okay? And literally, I will say that to myself. Okay, 60 seconds, that's it. So let me turn around and do something different. I think you might have said it in one of the modules too. It's not that we positive people don't ever have a negative thought. We just don't really stay on it that long. In fact,
Bingo.
So
Bingo.
That's been one of my anchors. That particular that has served me well. It served me really well.
Great. Yeah, and I think that, again, it's just a lot of times when we're so trained to think and focus on the negative, and that was one of the things that really got me about when I was studying the Kemetic stuff, and trying to find somebody to learn from, is that there was just such a focus on negativity. And it's like you just be so heavy after you left the presence of that stuff, and I got tired of that. So, and again, it's just like after a while, I just recognized that it keeps you in a low vibrational state.
Yes, sir, it does.
That's not what we're here to do. We're here to transmute the negative to the positive.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's part of the deal. So the people that stay focused on the negative, or they just repackage Christianity, or they just just doing the same stuff It's like, no, that's not it. That's not it. So I think that what I've done is created something where it does give people the opportunity to transform when they choose.
That's key, because I know for certain, okay, that with the help of these principles and the way that you put them together, that's our superpower right there, okay? Because one of the reasons, that's our superpower right there. One of the reasons, because we have a frontal lobe, okay? It gives us the ability to change on a dime. That's our superpower right there. And as much as we might know that, being a member of this community has allowed me to practice that more often, because why? I became aware of it first. Okay. And once you become aware of it, once someone lets you know you have the ability to do this. Have you ever tried it before? Okay. That again, that's another game changer. It changes everything. That method that we talk about, the pancake method, flip it. Okay. Okay. You're over there. Up, flip it. Okay. All right.
Absolutely. No, and it is. And that's one of the things too that I love about our community, is that we do have that support like that, where we can, bounce ideas off of people and talk to them. And then we got people that support us, that support our journey, and in a non-judgmental way. And I love that, that we've formulated something like that I don't think I have not found anything like that anywhere else,
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's, that this community is also, and I always thought I was a non-judgmental person. Okay. No. Okay. So holding up that mirror, that mirror, and that can be a difficult thing. That can be like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm seeing all my warts and stuff. There's another principle that dovetails with this. We are souls with bodies, all right? And the soul learns through experience. I think that's either in module 1 or module 2 to remember, which is the soul learns through experience. So a lot of times you'll hear us saying, I think particularly in the Black community, girl, you couldn't have bought that experience for no amount of money, okay? You have to have the experience, because that's how the soul learns, okay? We learn through experience. And once I kept that in mind, we're souls with bodies. Well, everybody that we talked to was a soul with a body. It helped to pull me right out of judgment. I mean, right out of judgment, period. All right. Judgment is, every now and again, I'm a human being. We still do that. We still, vibration still goes up and down. It pulled me right out of judgment, and it's allowed me to be calmer, particularly, when I'm with my students, okay, in class, and my students are having a moment or two or three, okay. So that, and again, with that principle, that you also mentioned something we have to stand in our authentic self, because sometimes you have to tell people to leave you the fuzz alone. All right. And you never know if that's going to be the catalyst for somebody else's well-being, which comes back around to, as a human being, you have a right to feel those emotions. All right. So, and when you do, you might find yourself having to apologize to someone. Okay. And that doesn't mean, it means that you get to be who you are. You get to be who you are. Okay. And still recognize the soul in other people too. All right. And so it lifted that judgment right off me. And I feel lighter. Those low vibrations are heavy. They're heavy. So,
No, absolutely. And I just think that's so powerful when we are able to understand that life is about experience. And as within Christianity, and when we were Christians, it's like we were supposed to avoid certain things, and there was certain things were bad, certain things well, in Kemetic spirituality, all experience is experience. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be consequences with it, but all of it comes with a lesson in one way or another. And the lessons are not negative. The lessons are the lessons. It's what you needed. And experience is not negative. You get into this idea of, well, we can do this. This is bad. Don't do that. this is good. And a lot of it is just being human.
Yep.
Don't have sex outside of marriage. That's bad.
Yep.
Sex inside of marriage is good. Why is it that a marriage license or a piece of paper is going to determine if something's bad or good? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't compute.
I agree. I agree.
So all that kind of stuff, all these arbitrary lines that end up bumping up against your own humanity, that end up making a contradiction between you just enjoying life, all that kind of stuff just really is like, man, it goes out the window when you start to understand really and truly what the principles are and what they're about, and helping you through your human experience.
I agree. Live by the principles. And that's, if I may say one more thing about that. I had my not my sister, rather, one of my yoga students, she said, well, people can just do anything. And I said, well, I said, people, you are free to do what it is you want to do with whomever it is you want to do it. And you're also free to deal with the consequences of that too. And people get real silent.
Yep.
I said,
bingo. You're free to be, but you're not going to be free of the consequences.
There you go. That's the thing. And that's just a principle of how the universe works. And once I decided, okay, I'm going to take this action, I'm also going to deal with the consequences too. It's like, it's like we can calm down. I can calm down and go, okay, all right, let's hit it, rather than some guy with red horns is going to come and get us,
Right. Exactly. Well, Judy, let's talk about, so you're going to be doing a circle in the community, and the community is based on yoga, and you're going to be looking at doing some other things, just health-wise and stuff too. When people come to the KCL community, what are you going to be able to offer them in their circle? What do you want to impart to them when they come to you?
Okay. It's called Thrive Yoga Fitness. And my intention, my gift, at least to myself first, because I practiced it for a number of years and didn't teach anything, is to assist people in uniting the body and the mind, and know that they are one and the same, just at different frequencies. All right. Because sometimes what I noticed in my last 20 years of fitness is that up until maybe the last 5 or 10 years, we were sort of living disconnected. Remember, we talked about that disconnection before, like up here didn't have anything to do with creating this down here. And what I found out in my studies is that the body that you live in responds the fastest to your thoughts, to your thoughts. And once I got accustomed to that, I just started experimenting with my own body in terms of, if I think this way for a day, for a week, for a month, what'll happen? All right. And what started to happen is I took 3rd place in my first bodybuilding competition. Okay. Because I saw the picture here and here. Now with the yoga, because it's the science of the breath, and on this planet, we got to breathe, right? Oxygen is required. So, and as powerful as the breath is, it can calm us down, excite us, all those kinds of things. And my intention is to assist people in using that superpower that they have, okay? Because it falls right in line with the KCL principles. And right now, yoga is like—
Now, you said with the superpower that they have, what do you mean? What's the superpower?
The superpower is the breath that you have, okay? The breath.
Okay. Now, why is that? So explain to me why that's a superpower. So how that is a superpower.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you asked. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not a yoga person, so that's like superpower.
Yes, sir.
Breath.
Yes, the breath. Oh, what does that mean? Okay. Yes. Okay. First, one is a superpower because we don't have to think about it. All right. Okay.
Okay.
If you had to think about breathing, it probably wouldn't get done. Okay.
Probably. Yeah. We forget sometime, we be gone.
Oh, that's not on the list. Okay. Now, when you bring yourself back to the yoga and you breathe intentionally with the yoga poses, it literally affects different energy meridians in your body. Okay.
Okay.
It affects your organs. It affects your cells. It affects the way you think. Did you know? I think most people do not know that you get more oxygen to your brain and your lungs if you breathe through your nose. But what tends to happen is, I know, right? Me neither, right? Okay.
I've never heard that.
I know. Right. Okay. So that is stop, Coach.
Go ahead. I'm just breathing.
Okay. So that is a superpower. One, we don't have to think about it. Two, when you intentionally breathe, and there are a number of breathing techniques where literally you can wake yourself up, put yourself to sleep. Got it? Enliven your heart, lungs, and organs. heal your body literally on the physical level. And when you couple those with the asanas, okay, an asana is just another word for like a kite, like a dog. It's a Sanskrit language. And you breathe into the body becomes more flexible, okay? But what folks don't quite get is you have the ability to calm yourself down and see clearly, all right? And there are all kinds of different forms of yoga. They're all over the place. You can tie you around you, you can do all of that stuff, okay? You can.
Right.
The thing that excites me so much about the yoga is that what's in here mirrors what's out there in the universe. The microcosm is a direct reflection of the macrocosm, okay?
Right.
So when we talk about the universe, and this is the only one that I'm aware of, I don't know if I've been to the other ones yet, okay? Literally what you see outside you is what's going on inside you. And you can harness that energy because you are it. We talk about vibration and frequency, all right? And that is exactly the principles that you've taught us in Kemetic, and that we apply because you have to do something, right? You got to do something, all right? Are the same things that apply to the human body. I think we're just now starting to find out how we can affect our own body favorably just through the power of the breath. Now, there's some other things you got to do too. It begins with the breath, right? It begins with the breathing, all right? And again, there are all kinds of things I've learned. I can share little nuggets. And again, it's something that we state in Kemetic science. Do you just want to be the librarian collecting all this information, or do you want to be the scientist and apply it? In the yoga, with the practice of yoga, you can apply it. You can apply it very simply just by paying attention to your breath. How cool is that?
Okay.
You mean I have to leave my chair? Okay, you don't have to. You can just apply it with the breath. And then from there, it gets bigger and it dovetails and all those kinds of things. And when we talk about vibration, just raising your vibration a little bit, then it begins to open you up to all the other possibilities. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's a very cool thing. And it's something that if you want to experience it in its totality, just start. And most folks think they have to start this big. Just that little piece right there. Just that little piece.
So is this some of the things that you'll be teaching inside your circle? So getting them connected with this type of knowledge and information?
Absolutely. From different breathing techniques to different ways to move your energy in finger mudras, okay, mudras, and that's just the way that energy is moving through the body, all right, to different yoga poses.
Well, awesome. Well, I am definitely looking forward to this journey that we are partaking in, with Kemetic-Centered Living. So this new community is going to be, I think, something that is going to be really transformational for a lot of people, and all you guys that are connected, with me here in this community is going to be something great and grand. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the journey with you, Judy, and everything that we're going to be doing here. So thank you for being here, for having your light shine within our community, and I'm looking forward to it even more.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it. All right. Okay. Y'all take care.
You betcha.
All right.
All right.
Take care now.
All right, guys, we will see y'all on the inside. So again, it's Judy Smith Randle, and she'll be one of the teachers in the community. And y'all look forward to seeing her there. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a great one.
Bye-bye.